Today we're going to talk about parents and placement. First of all, parent involvement. Parent involvement came about in the first establishment of IDEA, PL 94-142. This defined parents' rights and the safety measures when we look at Part A of the law, the regulations. To process procedures for the parent included the identification process of their child, the evaluation, the placement, and the services for their child. Parents' voice should be heard in these conversations. And also, measurements as to the child's progress are guaranteed to parents. How will we evaluate, monitor, and determine growth based on the goals and objectives that are written? Parents have the greatest overall responsibility in this process. They are signing on the dotted line for their child to be assessed and potentially identified as having a disability. Written consent with the initial evaluation, any reevaluation, placements, and educational records are required. Children are guaranteed a free and appropriate public education under Amendment 14. Parents have to have the opportunity to make sure that FAPE is being provided. They should be able to participate in all evaluations and all aspects of their child's education and at no cost to the family. Parent safeguards include written notification with ample time. The identification evaluation is also a notification in written format for the parent. These safeguards need to be provided in the parent's native language. Parents need access to their child's records and guaranteed confidentiality, and that their educational records will not be shared with anyone outside of those who work directly with the child. Mediation and due process are also guaranteed rights for parents. When concerns come to light from the district and or from the parents, mediation and due process are the steps taken to rectify the concern. In addition, parents' rights are fully guaranteed in the procedural safeguards. We share these often with parents, but how often have we taken the time to actually read them and know what they say? Who are the legal guardians for this child? Are they the biological parents? Are they the adoptive parents? How about a foster child? Legal guardianship is either for the biological parents or the rights are assigned to adoptive parents or foster care parents by the courts. Do you know legally who has parental rights for the child that you are serving or wanting to evaluate? Sometimes those educational rights are held by the court and not by foster parents. Sometimes a child is being raised by their grandparents. Do those grandparents have educational rights? What about step-parents? Do they have educational rights versus the biological parents? It's important for us to check documentation from the court system in order for us to verify who has legal rights or educational rights for the child we're going to assess. We have to keep in mind, too, the assessment process is a grieving process for parents. When parents have a child, first learn that they have conceived a child, oftentimes dreams are developed and hopes and curiosities for the future. However, when a child is being identified potentially as having a disability, those dreams can often create the same process of grieving as if someone has died. Keep that in mind when you're working with parents. Many times this is what we will say parents are in denial. And oftentimes it's really that they're going through the grief process and we need to help them through that. Parent communication is a huge benefit. Keeping them apprised to all that's going on, keeping an open dialogue, and being extremely good listeners. Parents need to be heard, not told on what needs to be done. You need to identify the best method and frequency for communication. Is that via phone, email, text message? What works best? Keep a positive attitude, even when parents are struggling. Remember, there are many factors going on within a family dynamic, and having a child assessed for a disability can add to those dynamics. And of course, communication skills. Speaking with the parents in their native language if needed, and getting an interpreter is incredibly important. Also, the use of our pronouns. Are we saying them and me, or you and I, versus using those collective pronouns of we and us and our? Have we taken into consideration the cultural dynamics? Cultures perceive education differently, whether Caucasian, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, or Indian. What are the educational perspectives of the different cultural groups that we work with? In some countries, parent involvement in the education system is showing disrespect towards the teacher. Versus here in the U.S., we want parents highly involved. We need to take a moment and see how parents perceive their involvement within the education system. We need to be aware of what kind of parental services are available. Parents will want outside resources, especially when their child winds up being identified with a disability. Community resources, state and national organizations, disabilities information sheets, news articles, instructional materials, parent education opportunities, and respite care. School choice. In some states in this country, when a child's identified with a disability, parents have the opportunity to place them in other school settings. And now that's not just for a child with disabilities. It could be for a child in general education. Being aware of the voucher programs in your state, private school placement, charter schools, is something you just need to be aware of in case the parent says, I'd like to have my child go to a different school. And an anomaly here in California is that a private school is different from a non-public school. California's non-public school system are actually public schools. However, children are placed in those schools by their school districts. So find out what kinds of alternative or school choice options you have within your state. Suspended or expelled for a total of 10 days during a given school year, a manifestation determination meeting must be held. I want to emphasize that these are not 10 consecutive days. This is a total of 10 days during a school year. That is when a manifestation determination meeting is held. Parents attend, school administration, special education teachers, a behavior specialist, a school psychologist. In order to make the determination whether or not the behavior is a result of the disability, a functional behavioral assessment is conducted, an FBA. These must be conducted prior to making the determination. If the behavior is a result of the disability, a behavioral support plan is written with goals and objectives, just as they would be for academics in an IEP. The manifestation determination made by the team can result in the child staying in their current placement, or their educational placement or setting may change. And what can prevent that change is whether or not the team decides that the behavior can be reshaped through a behavior support plan and through the supports already at the school. An interim alternative education setting can be determined by a manifestation determination team. This means that the child's placement will be changed, but it will be a unilateral placement, meaning same services, same type of setting, but it's in a different location. Here in California, that might be the movement from a public school setting into a non-public school setting, which still provides services, but may not be with the same type of general education opportunities. The placement is determined in length by the team, as well as any other decisions related to the unilateral placement. Another option for a committee manifestation determination is what we refer to as stay put. Stay put is not only applicable after a manifestation determination meeting, it's applicable for any type of evaluation team, IEP team meeting, when a child may be in need of a different placement, and maybe the public school team and the parents are not in agreement. When a placement is being disputed between different parties, a stay put order can be put into place to keep the child in that placement until mediation and due process are held to make a final decision.